Futures and options on futures trading involve substantial risk and is not a suitable investment for all types of investors. Past results are not necessarily indicative of future results. When I use the word I in this video, it refers to what I teach in my charting course or what I author in my twice daily oral and written updates. Prices shown on charts and quote boards are in real time and take into account all known activity up to this point in time. And if you'd like to read more of this disclaimer, simply hit the pause key on your video player.
Good day, all. Ira Epstein of Linn Associates with your financial market wrap-up for this Tuesday, and we're now on October 9th, 2018. As you know, the president just moments ago left for Council Bluff, where he's going to make a speech about ethanol. Be ready for that with the year-round now ethanol 15 blend. Be ready for the president if asked about China that he doesn't think they're feeling enough pain. But those are boasts. We saw those boasts, if you will, in the Mexican trade agreement, the Canadian agreement, and while we asked for the world and we were going to get walls and Mexico's going to pay for them, when's the last time you heard that? It's a question of getting everybody to the point where there can be tweaks to deals, but in China's case, it's getting everybody on America's side, Mexico, Canada, probably Europe, so that they can go with Japan, maybe South Korea, and say, you can't keep stealing our property for us to do business in China, and then the other parts. We'll see how that all works out. In any case, the combination of the trade wars, interest rate fears, are still working on the S&P and the Dow. The NASDAQ had a bounce. The Russell, well, holding some key areas. Let's go and look at the charts. The weekly area chart is still in a correction phase. The highest close we've had, and this is a close-only chart, was 29.34, and we're now sitting at almost 50 points under that. Okay. When we come to the daily chart, you see that you bottomed yesterday for at least a bounce, but still closed lower, and again lower today. So this market keeps closing lower, if you will. The swing line is not trending. It's had a pattern of a higher high and a lower low. We're under the 18-day moving average of closes. It's the 18-day MAC. I use the moving average of closes, the 18-day, as my line in the sand. If the market is under it, I say it has downside bias, over it, upside bias, and I use it as a filter in that way with other studies that I do. In addition, when you're under it this much, if you were to rally back to it, I'd look for that to be resistance, as it was when the market rallied up here and fell back to it for support. Eventually, it moves away from it, but it's an important number. If you look at the Bollinger Bands, this black line here and the one here, number one, they're not parallel. The idea behind them is that the market will trade within the algorithm 95% of the time. So challenges to it on the upside are often resistance, to the downside support, especially in a market that's going sideways, which, while this isn't a tight coiling, it is certainly sideways action. If you look at momentum, it's down. So we have a market that does not have a pattern of higher highs, higher lows, or lower highs, lower lows. It's not trending. It has bias down. It's respecting the lower Bollinger Band, trying to push it down as the market's working lower, not yet in oversold territory. Any reading under 30 I consider oversold. The support in the NASDAQ's a bit different. And support does not mean the trend. The trend in the NASDAQ is clearly down. You have the lower highs, lower lows. But when markets get to certain numbers, sometimes they run out of momentum, and that's what's going on temporarily. I don't know if it'll stay that way or not, but the 100-day average of closes in green, the 73.70, let's call it in a half area, is offering support, the lower Bollinger Band, and now it's 3 days in a row. Can you bust through it and go lower? Sure you can. Are the odds there? Well, when you're oversold with a reading under 30, no. That doesn't mean it can't happen. I can just tell you what the odds are, as I view them. In the Dow, you have a pattern of a higher high, a lower low, 3 days, almost 4 days in a row now of hitting the 18-day average. No real big follow-through to the downside or the upside anymore, just sort of sitting here temporarily. And in the Russell, you got down again to the lower Bollinger Band. Yesterday, I gave it a 1% chance of the market closing under that band because you were 4 days in a row under it. Today, you're over it on the close. Okay? That and what I said yesterday will hold. Riding this band is very bearish. This is bearish, the embedded reading. It's just that staying 5 days in a row under the band is not typical, so there might have been a better place for entry. That's all that it means when I look at that. In the VIX, the market's trying to get back underneath the upper Bollinger Band. Now, today it's going to close over it. Yesterday it was over it, and this day it was over it. The day before it wasn't. It was down here. So that's 3 days in a row. I give the market a 2% chance tomorrow of closing over it, the day after a 1. Can it? Of course it can, but now the market's trying to crawl back in. The interesting thing is the volatility's picked up because if you'll notice, the bands are moving out. I still think the pros are short this market, short the calls. In the T-bond market, you had a number of days, if we go back here, under the lower Bollinger Band. This day was 1, 2, 3, and on this day, you were also under it, 4 days in a row. On the 5th day, I give it 1% chance of staying under it. You got your pop in the market. It's not a trend changer. It's a pop. That's all that it's used for. So the guys staying beyond it, maybe there's a better place sometimes to take some money off the table. Not a trend changer. Lose the embedded reading, get the red line over 20 on a close. I think that's a game changer. So I'll be looking to see if that happens. You've got 2 days in a row now over the Bollinger Band here. The market, if you look at it, will we get an embedded reading? I don't know the close yet, but let me come back to this. Both numbers under 20 right now, under 20, under 20. So today could be where all the numbers stay under 20. However, trick. When the market closes near the high of a day and you're getting your 3rd day and it's just barely embedding, be careful. Often it's a trap play. The market wants to pop the other way. TLT, not so. You've got your embedded reading. You're down. You had 4 days in a row under the lower Bollinger Band. You're moving to the right. You're in a correction mode right now. Dollar index. The upper Bollinger Band acts as resistance. You can ride it, but it's still a resistance point. Riding it means what you're doing here. You are overbought. You've hit your upside targets. And now the question is, can the dollar consolidate these gains for another move? And which way will that move be? Reverse that for the eurocurrency, which keeps riding the lower Bollinger Band in an oversold condition. In the British pound, we're hearing that as early as this coming Monday, we might at least have the framework of a deal between the EU and the United Kingdom. If so, I would think that would be friendly, this market. It's been stuck in sideways trade. Fundamentally, a deal is certainly, if it's acceptable, better than no deal if it's acceptable. I don't know what the deal is. I'm telling you what I'm reading on Financial Times and the like. Interesting, the market's fighting its resistance at the 100-day average of closes. If you get a deal, does that mean maybe we're going to look back and say that these lows, especially back here, were it for the pound on this duration? I don't know what the deal is, and I don't know what the market's going to do with that. In the Japanese yen, you're unable to keep this market down. It's gone back to the 18-day average of closes. And so often, you'll hear me say this. Here's a market that had an embedded reading. It lost it on Friday. Unless it gains it back immediately, the odds are that price and the 18-day average are going to make a run for each other. They've done it. In the Bitcoin, I was on TikTok on Bloomberg this morning, so if you're a fan of that, watch it. And I'm saying, you know, this is not bearish action. This is so far pretty good action because you've got higher highs, higher lows, consolidation, market sort of drifting, and the news coming out, there seems to be more favorable news with what's going on and twists and turns to make cryptocurrencies have some real backing to them. In the Brent versus WTI, you know, it's hard not to like Brent in front of the Iranian sanctions. Market's still gaining on WTI, even with American oil shutting down in certain spots because of Hurricane Michael. You can see on the Brent, higher high and lower low, a gain today of 95 points, but only 38-point gain in the November WTI, and it's still very much in an uptrend, higher highs, higher lows, but it is correcting and it lost an embedded reading, which often leads to price in the 18-day average trying to come together. In gasoline, you made that run. You can see the correction. You lost the embedded reading. You broke back towards that 18-day average. You still have the embedded reading in the natural gas. And this market, since it broke out right here, has caught the shorts, and this market's still on a tear to the upside. We write about this and a lot more in our Linn research. If you haven't seen what our customers see, there's a difference. I realize you can go out and some of these super discount firms are very, very inexpensive, but what about the research? If you don't need research, I get it. If you're a type that wants the research, technical points, ideas what the commercials are doing, option plays, why not see what our customers see? You don't get to stay on the list. You get to see what they're seeing. We invite you to have an account with us. Give us a call. Go to our website. You can sign up for Linn Research there or click right up here. I'm Ira Epstein. You have a good day.